This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
Telecom to host the Pacific Islands Telecommunications AGM. University of Goroka to include cyber security into its curriculum. And Sam Basil Jr. raised questions regarding the recent drug bust. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. Telecommunications company Telecom Limited has announced through its CEO Amos Tepi that the company will host the Pacific Islands Telecommunications Association's 27th Annual General Meeting, Business Forum and Expo in Port Moresby. This is the first time for PNG to host the PITA AGM.
Exciting times ahead for PNG's telecommunications company as it will play host to the Pacific Islands Telecommunications Association or PITA annual general meeting from the 22nd to the 25th of May this year. This was announced by the company's CEO Amos Tepi in a media conference held yesterday afternoon at the Telecom office. CEO Tepi elaborates further on the preparations towards this event.
I want to say that this conference is all to announce all our sponsors who will be sponsoring this event, AGM 27, PITA 27 AGM. We've already sent the invites out to all the sponsors. The sponsors will come into diamond, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. So this will be category where each of the telco industries and others will sponsor this event on the 27th one. With that, our board, Telecom Limited board, has also approved this PITA event, and also our shareholder KCH through our office of our minister SOE has all been informed, and this event is one of the big events ever held by Telecom Limited since all these years.
Fred Christopher is the manager for PITA. He is in the country to assess groundwork and has been pleased so far. Christopher further said the COVID-19 outbreak has greatly affected most small Pacific Island countries, resulting in job loss, job insecurities, and a lot of businesses forced to shut down. This AGM will bring with it strategic solutions to close the gap created by COVID-19.
It's like an anniversary we celebrate every year. So it's a 27th year of existence of PITA. And it has become a really central point for most of the Pacific Islands, especially for the small islands, when they look to organizations like this, where they can come together and exchange and discuss their common issues, their common risks, their needs, and especially on top of that, we'll have all these business vendors and industries that will see the value of having everyone there to come and talk business, offer solutions, and provide us with technology and expertise.
It is anticipated that a lot of Pacific Islanders in the telecommunications industry will be attending this AGM in May in Port Moresby. The theme for this year's PITA AGM is Reimagining Service Excellence, Ubiquity and Resilience in a Post-COVID Pacifica. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Yesterday in Goroka, PNG Dataco Limited signed a memorandum of understanding with the University of Goroka to include cyber security into its curriculum. CEO for PNG Dataco Limited, Paul Comboy, said the partnership is an ongoing cooperation between UOG and PNG Dataco and one that is vital when it comes to enhancing cyber security in the digital space. CEO for PNG Dataco, Paul Comboy, in an interview made mention that University of Goroka welcomes the support from PNG Dataco to include cybersecurity as part of its curriculum as the country is moving at a fast pace in order to meet global standards, and therefore It is important that universities in the country, such as the University of Goroka, incorporate cybersecurity as a curriculum into their institution.
Basically, the details of the MOU encompass our assistance in supporting the university with cybersecurity learning. Yeah, so basically, we have been in partnership with them for over a year already. That was in 2022. We provided technical expertise in terms of cybersecurity to assist in their learning, providing lectures and programs for them. We did it online through two of our staff. One was Dr. Jigo and the other one was Daniel. Yes, so they provided learning materials plus cybersecurity curriculum for University of Goroka during last year.
Mr. Comboy added that while PNG Dataco is ready to provide technical support and services to the University of Goroka, the MOU between the two institutions will help support graduates in the field of mathematics and computer sciences. He added that he is pleased to work alongside a well-recognized university in the country where students will be able to work closely with industry experts and also to build capacity.
We at Dataco, we find that there is a lack of cybersecurity experts in our country. The capacity is not there, so we're trying to build up that capacity basically through that program. Yeah, so it's in our interest to do that. We're in the field of ICT, basically providing telecommunication services to all industry sectors. That is cross-cutting, and one of the key threats for that sector is basically cybersecurity.
Mr. Comboy added that PNG Dataco also has a program in place where they are working with high school students. According to CEO Comboy, PNG Dataco has big plans to expand into other areas of ICT in the country.
We've been providing, through our corporate social responsibility, support to educational institutions throughout the country. Yeah, so those tertiary institutions, high school, as well as tertiary included universities as well, and all our universities are included. Yeah, so they've got different requirements, and as much as we can, we're trying to meet those requirements as we go along. Yeah, so.
Mr. Comboy has stressed on the importance of cybersecurity and why individuals, institutions, businesses and organizations should make it their business to understand what cybersecurity is and the measures that one can take to stop cyber crimes and other related issues. Member for Bulolo Open, Sam Basil Jr. today raised a series of questions on the floor of Parliament regarding the drug flight bust that is making headlines.
Bulolo MP Basil Jr. commended the Australian Federal Police and the PNG Royal Constabulary for the collaborative effort which led to the arrest of criminals smuggling illicit drugs. Basil Jr. then questioned the Minister for Internal Security, highlighting that PNG is becoming a point of origin for cartels to smuggle illicit drugs.
As with the nature of these high-level drug syndicates, can our citizens be assured well-connected individuals through businesses or politics won't be given special treatment if found to be involved in this activity? And lastly, finally, Minister, can you please give an undertaking to ensure local police in Bulolo are given adequate resources to monitor our district in the event drugs and individuals connected to this syndicate are using my district to cover up their schemes, bringing the good name of Bulolo to a question?
Minister responsible Peter Siamalili Jr. in response highlighted that police have been working in monitoring this since and gave a stern warning to those involved that they will be dealt with accordingly.
Give a comfort law country. Thank you. Suppose you, one club long only walk long, practicing this law inside no country blue me pla by behind him you, me pla by putting you behind long carabus. Yes. So me give him comfort law this law. Number 2 question.
Minister Siamalili Jr. revealed that the RPNG and Civil Aviation and Customs are working in collaborations along the borders and have identified some hot spots.
By me walking longer to halfway, Mipla field, Mipla work identify all hotspots. So this time me giving big belly silong leaders. I will be working with in collaboration one time Mipla by Mipla got belly si or semi by collectively addressing this lab. Now more than ever, because me reminding your leaders na Papua New Guinea too. No can think this la drag me no stop finish long Papua New Guinea. Me ask him long all Papa Mama. Banisim pikin ni blow you. Banisim pikin ni blow you. This la drag me stop finish inside long Papua New Guinea.
The minister is calling on all leaders to work in collaboration with the police to address this issue. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Deputy Opposition Leader Douglas Tomuriesa challenged the government to come clear on the recent statement made by the Treasurer Ian Lynn Starkey earlier this week on the 18,000 job applications and provide a feasibility towards the 2 billion kina relief package.
Over 18,000 young
Deputy Opposition Leader on the floor of Parliament highlighted employment as one of the biggest issues across the country and questioned the statement made on the floor recently regarding the 18,000 job applicants.
Good treasurer, print it out in the paper and say, isn't it great that 18,000 people applied for jobs in January? Out of the 18,000, how many got employed? And that question needs to be answered. He also, in his response, said, which families are suffering? When the question was raised by the member for Yalibu, Pangia, and the former Prime Minister, in his answer he said, which families are suffering? Who said Woklo suffer? Because package government, relief package, home package of 1.1 billion and go out penis. Now I'm asking question, who is suffering? Somebody must be blind to be asking that question. Because all you have to do is follow me down to the streets of Boroko. Follow me to the boy market at Hanobara. And ask the families, ask the individuals out there. They'll tell you the real struggle they're facing.
Exemplifying the Bulolo drug bust, he says individuals are unemployed and are looking for ways to survive, thus getting engaged in such illegal activities. He is calling on the government to ensure there is employment for the people.
Opening way to survive. Now it is incumbent to this government to make sure that employment is made possible. Miari Minister Blomainin, I'm talking a few weeks' time. Program mine should open. It must open.
He further added that the government's intention to create more jobs for the parliamentarians by having more ministers has to be diverted instead.
You mean like more ministries blow people blame inside law here? What about our people? The funds that we are trying to expand to have more ministries would be good that we have those funds expended to create employment for our people in Papua New Guinea.
The Deputy Opposition Leader also called on the government to provide feasibility towards the 2 billion kina relief package. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Governor for East Sepik Alan Bird stated in Parliament yesterday that government should focus on the creation of jobs. Governor Bird said the government seems to be focusing on infrastructure developments and important aspects such as job creation for its citizens is being forgotten.
Thank the former Prime Minister.
Governor Bird said policymakers have not been including the creation of new jobs in the country's development plans, and this has been an ongoing issue.
I can honestly say that in the first 3 or 4 years, there was hardly any discussion on jobs on the floor. But I have seen in the last 2 years, plenty talk lo jobs come up now. And I think that's an important genesis that we are seeing in terms of the thinking of the House. Because the demand is coming from outside. When we were working on MTDP number 2, and we did the consultations, plenty Papa Mama oli sanap na oli talk. You play no got jobs inside lo MTDP 2 bloy plan.
Governor Bird said over the past years, the Parliament has been placing much emphasis on infrastructure development without considering the need of the people.
Who said online now, suppose you all policy makers planning, you harim stop? I'd like to see when MTDP 4 is presented that there is a significant component that talks about jobs and how we get those jobs. Beyond just roads and bridges and classrooms and drains and toilets. Jobs must form a part of that equation, a part of that discussion.
He urged the policymakers to include the creation of new jobs into the country's medium-term development plan 4 so that the nation works towards achieving it.
I'm hoping that online Bloimi designing MTDP 4, inside MTDP 4, there will be a significant shifting or prioritization of funds towards jobs in MTDP 4. Because that is the guiding document for government, or it ought to be, in terms of framing the budget.
Governor Bird made those statements during a debate in Parliament after the former Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was replying to the Treasurer's statements on job creations. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. The member for Yalibu Pangia, Peter O'Neill, has asked the Minister for Treasury, Ian Lynn-Starkey, to come clear on the conditions of the International Monetary Fund before borrowing funds from them. The government, according to the Treasury, is in discussion to borrow from the IMF.
For the very important question raised.
The government's decision to borrow funds from the International Monetary Fund has prompted the former Prime Minister in urging the Treasurer Ian Lynn-Starkey to outline the conditions of IMF out for the people of PNG to know.
Building on the progress under staff monitoring programs in PNG. And they're urging the authorities, that's you, Treasurer, the need to accelerate structural reform programs. And I quote, you read the statement properly. That's what they are lending you the money. You are not telling us the conditions in which you are borrowing this money.
Treasurer Lynn-Starkey, however, said the plan to borrow will still proceed as planned.
Is a good deal at 2.4%. The IMF is not a bailout. It is a good deal. And I am pleased to announce this afternoon that overnight in Washington, the IMF Executive Board has approved US $918 million or 3.25 million kina package over a 3-year period, subject, of course, to successful completion of our reform package initiated by our government and not initiated outside of our country.
Mr. O'Neill said the country has faced budget deficits and for another additional borrowing from IMF may cost the economy too much.
While the revenue is increasing, Mr. Speaker, we're still borrowing big sums of money to fund our budget because our budget deficits are also increasing. That is because we are increasing our expenditure. This is a time when we need to control our expenditure, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. O'Neill has asked the Treasurer to table the conditions of IMF and its effects on the next Parliament sitting so that people can know. IMF monitors the international monetary system and global economic developments to identify risks and recommend policies for growth and financial stability. A condition of IMF is that when a country borrows from the IMF, the government agrees to adjust its economic policies to overcome the problems that led to it seeking financial assistance. These policy adjustments are conditions for IMF loans and help to ensure that the country adopts strong and effective policies. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea's higher court system will see an introduction of the appellate court between the Supreme and the National Courts. This was announced yesterday afternoon by Minister for Justice and Attorney General Pila Niningi.
Flanked by senior counsels and the state solicitor, the Attorney General and Justice Minister announced yesterday that the higher courts will soon include the appellate court. The appellate court will hear appeals from the National Court, whilst the Supreme Court will review matters from the National Court and hear constitutional references. The appellate court, according to Minister Niningi, will see a large number of backlog cases being addressed efficiently. Minister Niningi mentioned some advantages of the appellate court.
We want to get rid of backlog of cases. There now is more than 30,000 backlog of cases, so we believe that we will do this to alleviate the cases and they go. And at the same time, the country is developed, so we must bring confidence that our system is working. That so far it's working, so we are doing this to improve it.
The minister also clarified that the restructure will also see separate judges for each of the three courts. The Supreme Court will be headed by the Chief Justice, Appellate Court will be headed by the President, and the National Court will be headed by a principal judge. Minister Niningi explained that the current court system where judges sit on both the Supreme and the National Court allowed a perception that the courts were not impartial. Hence, this perception needs to be removed.
Like same judge sits in the National Court. Then his friend must have heard the case and then he goes and sits up there. So it's a perception, people think they're biased. So we believe that perception, we will have, different judges go and sit.
The proposed higher court restructure program is now before the National Executive Council for approval before it is taken to the floor of Parliament for deliberation and enact the new court system in the country. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Tuberculosis is 100% curable if everyone worked together to support people with the infection. These were comments made by Chief Physician Dr. Alexander Maha today when professionals and individuals in the health space commemorated the World Tuberculosis Day at the Port Moresby General Hospital.
Gathered at the TB clinic at Pomgen were patients, guardians and health workers. Speaking to everyone there, Dr. Maha said everyone has a role to play to control TB in the country.
In our communities, we need to support people who have TB. And not just TB, but leprosy and HIV and whatever. But this is World TB Day, so we're going to make it about TB. If someone has TB, we need to support them. Maybe they cannot work. Maybe they cannot chop their firewood. Maybe they cannot make their fire. Maybe they just need someone to come and say hello to them. Sometimes having TB can be a very lonely time.
It was heard at the gathering today that tuberculosis or TB is a leading cause of death in PNG. Hence, early diagnosis and effective treatment is vital. TB can be cured. However, apart from medication, patients need love and support from their families as well.
Effective diagnosis, early diagnosis, effective treatment, TB can be cured. I think that's a very, very important message. And it doesn't matter whether it's what we call drug-sensitive TB or it is TB that has developed resistance to some of the medicine. We now have medicine to treat any form of TB and to cure it.
Medications from tablets to injections are now available to effectively treat patients. Therefore, patients, especially from the rural areas, are encouraged to come forward to a nearest aid post or clinic, or even better, to a general hospital for early diagnosis, so they can start the 6 months medication process. Apart from the treatment process, counseling is also provided for patients and their families at the hospital. well. Director for Medical Services, Dr. Kone Sobi, said they rely heavily on partners like World Vision and others and thanked them for their continuous support in the fight against TB. The theme for this year's World TB Day is Yes, We Can End TB. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
PNG South Pacific Brewery has shown support towards fighting tuberculosis in the workplace by donating a total of 40,000 kina to Businesses for Health today. This support will see Businesses for Health continue its work in doing awareness in fighting against TB in workplaces around the country.
To commemorate the World Tuberculosis Day, Businesses for Health held a workplace TB workshop with SP Brewery staff and talked about addressing TB in the workplace. 40,000 kina was given to B4H to continue awareness with other business houses. Project Manager for Businesses for Health, Dr. Anne Clark, was grateful for the support by SP Brewery as this will help them with their work.
This TB Day, we have much to celebrate. We celebrate the ongoing support of SP Brewery and the money that enables us to hire more local people. We celebrate the ongoing support of SP because we know our workplace TB education empowers people to seek treatment, share their knowledge and skills with family and the extended community.
Dr. Clark said it is important for the working class people to talk about TB in their workplaces and seek treatment. She said it is bad for businesses and the economy when workers do not know about their status.
That they can feel confident that they won't be sacked. That is absolutely key to reducing fear. If they can ask questions about TB, access free services and keep their job and get cured, it's a win-win for the person and it's a win-win for the business.
In celebrating the World Tuberculosis Day, Dr. Clark said, B4H celebrates the TB wardens across the country and business houses that have shown support for saving lives and jobs.
Today we celebrate the achievements of our hundreds of workplace TB wardens across hundreds of work sites here in Papua New Guinea. We thank SP Brewery and our other private sector supporters, and we thank our TB wardens for saving lives, jobs and family incomes.
SP Brewery has a long-standing partnership with Businesses for Health. SP Brewery's Corporate Affairs Manager John Nilkare said they are delighted to continue supporting B4H for another year. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2840 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Ukina was buying $0.2765 US, $0.4109 Australian dollars, $0.2477 euro, 35.71 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed higher. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. New Sky Pacific Limited has commissioned a modernization program that the organization has been working on for the last 10 years. They have undergone significant transformation by upgrading of every aspect of their operations. The modernization of the upgrading of the systems are aimed at improving service delivery in the airspace of the country.
The air navigation service provider in the country has seen a major change in its operations and is now operating 90% within the space base and 10% on the ground-based facilities. Minister for Transport and Civil Aviation and member for Namatanai Open, Walter Schnaubelt, highlighted what the organization has been doing in terms of transforming their operations.
Highlights of the New Sky Modernization Program, upgrade of the aeronautical radio communication network system and air traffic management infrastructure and technology, advanced air traffic management capability, improvements to radio communication, satellite-based navigation, enhanced surveillance capabilities, ground and space-based.
Minister Schnaubelt also added that not only were the systems updated, but the workers were also upskilled to carry out the task of monitoring the airspace.
Updated our processes and upskilled our workers to be able to get the most out of these modern systems and advanced technology.
He says the technology that the organization now have can cover 1.6 million square kilometers of Papua New Guinea's territory. It can also go outside of the country if our neighboring countries ask for assistance in their airspace. Chief Executive Officer for New Sky Pacific Limited, Captain Ted Paki, says the modernization program has taken almost a decade to be completed to make sure it has been done properly.
So it took about 2 years of planning, so to make sure that everything was covered and make sure that the design of the technologies that we're bringing on board were actually integrated into the new ATM systems.
He says that they have deliberately moved from ground-based facilities to airspace-based facilities, basically to avoid challenges.
A new company in Australia is the VHF communication side. There is no technology presently available for us to log on to them. So we're working with a new company that's launching satellites as we speak, which will become operational in 2024. Then we'll remove ourselves completely in terms of service provision, 100% space-based.
Moving forward, NSPL is planning to move to space-based technology 100% in the year 2024 and will have standby facilities on the ground to assist when need be. Present to witness the ceremony was Prime Minister James Marape, together with other parliamentarians and stakeholders. Samantha Solomon, National EMTV News.
As a way of giving back to the community, New Sky Pacific Limited are not charging small planes that move from one rural airstrip to another, but do monitor them, as stated by New Sky Pacific Limited CEO Captain Ted Paki.
Smaller airlines that are operating in really rural areas where majority of our population lives, we've exempted them from any charges. We don't charge them anything. So we provide the service FOC. A lot of these advancements in especially communication actually help a lot of our smaller operators because they operate inside valleys and mountains where communication can be difficult. But with improved communication, they're saying thank you. Like MAF sings our praises all the way. So that's one give back to the community.
The founder of the World Indigenous Business Forum, Rosa Walker, departed today for North America after 3 days visiting the host country of the WIBF in October 2023. In a farewell dinner last night, Prime Minister James Marape assured the founder that Papua New Guinea is ready to host the World Indigenous Business Forum, and he will provide the necessary support to ensure it is the best forum.
Touted to be the next big thing after APEC in 2018, PNG is getting ready to host the World Indigenous Business Forum in October later this year through the Ministry for International Trade and Investment. Over the past few days, the founder of WIBF was in the country on an initial visit to scope out PNG and what it has to offer. And last night, a farewell dinner was held with the Prime Minister, James Marape, assuring Rosa Walker that PNG is serious about hosting the event.
Let me say welcome again. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence, but more importantly, doing a layup visit for what will be a big visit in October. We certainly look forward to ensuring that the visit, conference, and the get-together is a full success for everyone involved.
In delivering his speech, Rosa Walker shared the experience of the past few days.
4 days here on the ground, I can tell you that you have nothing to worry about how you compare to the rest of the world. You're right on top. I could say you're 10 out of 10. Your accommodations, your people, your beautiful country. Sorry, but Australia cannot compare.
Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru challenged the committee to ensure that the 2023 WIBF hosted by PNG will be the best ever.
So everyone who goes away will remember Papua New Guinea and importantly connect with our people, connect with our business community, and we want to really start to network with the indigenous business communities throughout the world.
The event will open up an avenue for our indigenous businesses like our local SMEs to showcase their businesses and network with other indigenous businesses across the globe. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
And moving to overseas news now, on the front lines of eastern Ukraine, the fighting echoes that more than a century ago, with trans lines crisscrossing the landscape and huge casualties on both sides.
Where even tank armour can be breached. Up close and in range, Serhi's tank crew releases everything it's got against Russian targets. The enemy is just 500 metres away across this field. Watch Serhi's round hit, top right. The orders are get in, get out and take cover. We're right behind them.
Quickly! Go to position. Go quickly. Go quickly.
Open ground is their enemy's friend.
Our tank worked successfully on the target, so the enemy artillery is now targeting us. Our drone spotters gave the tank crew the command to urgently roll back out of range, so our guys won't be hit by the enemy's artillery. That was a 120mm shell landing, maybe around 20 to 30 meters away from us.
A brief lull and it's time to move again. This is what a year of attacks has done to the town of Velika Novosilka. Once thriving, it's all but abandoned. And still Russian bombs fall here. A mortar lands to the right. The town has already been reduced to rubble. And yet another mortar lands. Even closer. They're zeroing in. Any movement here captures Russia's attention. In the town and on its outskirts, travelling in the open can be a matter of life or death. This road is within range of Russian guns and it has to be taken at speed. To a stricken wasteland where Russian eyes are always watching.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. CEO for the Central Dabaris franchise, Yubet Warupi, told the media of the success of young Moria Moria, who is now playing for the SPPNG Hunters. Warupi said this is an end result of what the franchise has achieved since joining the National Rugby League competition. Debutant in the SPPNG Hunters, Junior Moria Moria, who has made it into the team to participate in the Host Plus Cup, has not only made the people of Central Province proud, the sponsors of Central Dabaris, his supporters and his family, but also the CEO for Central Dabaris Rugby League franchise, Yubet Warupi, who has seen him grow over the years.
Franchise, all of Central Province, our sponsors, we're all so proud of Moria Moria. He's a player that's had every opportunity to go and play for another franchise, but he's decided to remain loyal and commit himself to the Central Dabaris franchise. And I think it's that sort of attitude and character that epitomizes what the Dabaris brand is. He's trusted the process. He's been able to commit himself.
He said it goes to show how successful the team has become and how the club is making sure that it is doing what it can to promote both the players and the support team.
You know, he's a very talented player, and going into the system at the Hunters level will only enhance his style of football. And I think the way they play the game in Australia is totally different. It's a lot more technical as opposed to the physicality that we have here in our competition. So I believe that he will get better as the season progresses, and the future is, can be anything for him.
Yubet added that the team has really put together their act since their inaugural appearance in the National Rugby League competition, and moving forward he is hoping that more and more players will venture into representing Papua New Guinea, just like Junior Moria Moria, who is now playing for the SPPNG Hunters. Meanwhile, the team is in training, where they are working on areas they need to perfect for their curtain raiser match this Saturday against the Port Moresby NCDC Vipers. The Samson Anam kickboxing tournament has been deferred due to financial constraints. President and professional kickboxing champion Nelson Samson is calling on interested business houses and individuals to come forward and support the event. After 3 months of training and preparations for their first event of the year, the Samson Anam Kickboxing Club has decided to defer its 2023 fight to next weekend due to financial difficulties. While fighters have been busy training day in, day out at the Sejongai Stadium, president of the club, Nelson Samson, has been busy chasing after sponsorship with no luck at all. Due to financial constraints, the fighters will continue to train until they secure sponsorship to get the event rolling. President Nelson is calling on business houses or kickboxing enthusiasts who are willing to help come forward and support the club. Samson, who is an international PNG champion, said it's really not about him, but he has been supporting the young fighters of PNG achieve their dreams. He said if there is anyone out there willing to support the club with 2,000 to 3,000 kina, do not hesitate to contact EMTV so they can get in touch with them. Samson added that many of the young fighters are boys from the streets who have turned to sport in search of better opportunities and a chance in life to better themselves. Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. The SPPNG Hunters are ready and geared up for round 3 of their Host Plus Cup season campaign, where they play host to the Brisbane Tigers tomorrow at the Santos National Football Stadium.
With a much-anticipated home crowd advantage expected to cheer the SPPNG Hunters after having completed 2 of their Host Plus Cup matches for the season in Queensland over the last 2 weekends, tomorrow the Hunters will play host to the Brisbane Tigers in round 3 of the Queensland Rugby League Host Plus Cup, with a kick-off set for 3 p.m. at the Santos National Football Stadium. Despite the draw between the South Logan Magpies and the SPPNG Hunters in round 2, the Hunters will be heading into this weekend's game with confidence, with their main focus having been centered on improving their errors throughout the season. The Hunters have so far reaped fast-becoming goal-line defenses from their first 2 matches against the Western Clydesdales and the South Logan Magpies respectively. As their third battle is scheduled for tomorrow on home ground, this game will see the Hunters face their former 2-term coach, Matthew Church, spearheading the Brisbane Tigers in his return to the Santos National Football Stadium. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Weather Plus, Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby, mostly cloudy with some showers and thunderstorm. Popondetta, mostly cloudy with rain periods and thunderstorm.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Friday, the 24th of March, 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing, safe weekend. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.